Take a deep breath with me, beloved. A slow inhale through the nose. A soft release through the mouth. Allow the world to fall away. Allow the noise to loosen its grip. Allow whatever you've been carrying to slide down off your shoulders like a heavy coat you no longer need. Because today we step into a moment so few ever reach. The moment when the inner battlefield begins to quiet. Not because one side won, but because both sides finally heard each other. This episode is about the moment when your inner selves stop fighting and begin to listen, and how the listening becomes the core of your wholeness. The invisible war you've been living in. Most people are fighting battles they can't name, not with other people, but within themselves. The self who wants to rest versus the self who feels guilty for slowing down. The self who wants to dream versus the self who insists on safety. The self who wants to expand versus the self who is terrified of losing control. And the self who remembers who you are versus the self who has learned to survive. Every one of us carries a cast of inner selves, not broken pieces, but loyal guardians, frozen in the roles they took on to protect us. But protection becomes prison when it no longer is needed. The moment they stop fighting. There comes a moment, and you know when it happens, when the screaming inside quiets, not because you forced it, but because you created the conditions where listening became possible. This moment feels like a softening of your chest, a loosening in your throat, a sense that something ancient inside you unclenched. It feels like your inner system says, I don't have to fight you anymore. This is the beginning of inner reunion. Wholeness does not require agreement, only understanding. This is where people get it wrong. Wholeness does not happen when all your inner selves agree. Wholeness happens when they are given permission to speak, permission to exist, permission to be heard without being exiled. Wholeness is not the silence of enforced harmony. Wholeness is the quiet of mutual respect. The inner council. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine an inner council chamber, a round table. You sit at the head of it, not as a dictator, but as a calm, grounded leader. Around the table sits the versions of you that have been fighting, the protector, the dreamer, the skeptic, the child, the survivor, the warrior, the mystic, the exhausted one, the one who still believes. Every one of them has been fighting to be heard, but when you invite them to the table, when they no longer have to scream to get your attention, something miraculous happens. The war ends because the listening begins. The teacher. Inner peace is inner cooperation. Inner peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of cooperation between all the selves within you. Your protector stops blocking your growth. When it trusts you won't abandon your safety. Your dreamer stops hiding when it knows you won't ridicule its visions. Your survivor stops bracing when it feels the present is no longer the past. Your child stops panicking when someone is finally holding its hand. Your mystic stops whispering when you finally slow down enough to hear. The moment of reunion feels like this. It feels like a deep inner exhale, like coming home to a house you forgot you owned, like your body remembering the shape of peace. You begin to operate from integration instead of fragmentation, coherence instead of contradiction, wholeness instead of war. Let's now engage in an expanding practice. Right now, beloved, place a hand over your heart. Say softly, all of me belongs. All of me gets a seat at the table. All of me is welcome home. Feel that land. Feel the shift. Feel the reunion beginning. This episode marks the moment when the internal war softens, When the selves you've judged, silenced, or feared finally receive what they've wanted all along, your presence. Reunion begins with listening, and listening begins with love.